Once, not so long ago, there was a farmer, a poor farmer. He lived on a small plot of land with his daughter, several miles away from the city of Neverwinter. There they worked day and night to raise apples and sell them in the city, but the crops did not take well to the soil. Every year they worked harder and harder, but the crops never grew. The trees all died before they could bear any fruit. The farmer could not stand it, seeing his life and the life of his daughter slowly succumbing to poverty and starvation. Though he prayed to the gods for relief, for any type of blessing, his prayers went unanswered. It was then, at his lowest point, that a stranger came to the farmer's house. He was tall, lanky, with oddly long arms, hair black as midnight, and eyes with a tint of blood red to them. His features were handsome, his face flushed with red beneath the brim of his hat. His doublet was of fine blackened lace, with golden inlays and stark white frills. His pants and shoes matched in style and expense. He looked down at the farmer with a piercing look that sent shivers down the man's spine. Yet the farmer could not look away. He was entranced by the stranger's visage, the way he talked and held himself, even the way he smiled a toothy smile. The only thing that was at all off-putting about this stranger was an odd smell, a very subtle odor of lingering sulfur, or perhaps ash seemed to cling to his form. The farmer found his voice after a moment. "Who are you?" The stranger smiled and nodded in his face, but his teeth moved to speak. His voice was smooth as silk and sweeter than honey. "I am an investor. I am interested in this little orchard of yours." The farmer was confused. But why? This land is barren, the soil here is sour, our crops keep dying before harvest time, and my daughter and I have nowhere else to go, so we can't sell the land. The stranger still smiled. "That is fine, for I have no intention of buying this land. I told you I am an investor. I can help you make this plot of land into what you always dreamed to be, for a small collateral. You would help me grow my apples?" The stranger let out a deep chuckle. "Apples, oranges, blueberries, cabbages, potatoes. I could turn this sour soil into a cornucopia of crops, larger and more delicious than any of the surrounding farms. You would be the wealthiest man in the countryside, clad in clothing so fine even nobles will be jealous of you. With a house so large you could spend days inside of it and not see all the rooms. And of course, you and your daughter will never go hungry again." The farmer couldn't believe what he was hearing. Then again, this stranger looked like he had plenty of coin and was willing to share it with him. But something did not sit right with the farmer. "I'm no fool. I know everything has a price. You even mentioned collateral. You don't look it, but I've got this feeling in me gut. You're one of them devils, aren't you? Those hellish creatures. The priests warned me about you. You're going to trick me. You're going to make me give up my soul or something. Well, you won't get mine. You won't have my soul, devil. Not for all the apples in Neverwinter." The stranger's smile dimmed. He let out a heavy sigh. "Oh, well, that is a pity. Then I shall leave you and your daughter to your poverty and hunger. Good day." The farmer's eyes filled with worry, glancing behind him at his emaciated daughter. Wait! The farmer cried. "Is there no other price I could pay for what you offer?" The smile returned to the stranger's face. "I knew you were a sharp one, sir. Well then, here are my terms. In 1 year, you will have all that you desire. Then I will return to collect my price." The stranger held up one finger. "Your first fruit. The first fruit you ever bore, that is what I ask." The farmer was stunned. You would give me all that I wish for one measly fruit?" The stranger nodded. The farmer smiled, assured of his victory and wit. and he shook the stranger's hand. "It's a deal. 1 year from now, when you return, I'll give you my first fruit." "Wonderful, my good man." Then he handed the farmer a large bag of seeds. "Plant them tonight." The stranger left without a single word more. The farmer and his daughter planted those seeds, and the next morning were greeted with a wondrous sight. Apple trees, fully grown and healthy, already bearing fruit. The apples were large and of a lush red color, and of a delicious taste. The farmer plucked one for the stranger, the best he could find, and then gathered the rest to sell. As the year went on, the farmer sold his apples. They were the best in the land, and everyone from chefs to brewers to nobles wanted them. Within a year, he was the wealthiest farmer the countryside of Neverwinter had seen in a long time. He wore lavish clothes, had a huge mansion for himself and his daughter, and never wanted for anything. Then the day came when the stranger returned. The farmer, now flushed with pride at his overflowing wealth, offered the stranger the single apple. The stranger frowned. No, this will not do." The farmer bristled. "You asked me for my first fruit, here it is. Now take it and be gone. Our dealings are done." The stranger glared down at the farmer, his eyes like fire. "No, this is not your first fruit. This came from the trees, which came from the seeds I gave you. These are not fruits of your own seed." With one long finger, a nail extending into a sharp black claw at the end, the stranger pointed at the farmer's daughter. "There is the only fruit that ever came from your seeds." The farmer's face flushed with fear and then anger. He went for his dagger to cut the stranger down. But the farmer suddenly couldn't move. His body was frozen. His eyes filled with tears as he watched the stranger take his daughter and disappear in a plume of smoke, vanishing without a trace. The farmer, now able to move, spent all of his fortune trying to find a way to bring his daughter back or track down this stranger. In the end, he spent everything: his land, his fortune, his apple trees, everything. And 1 year later, he died of hunger, clutching on to a single red apple